Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today. As in today's podcast, we're going to discuss the energies of Venus in Leo and her retrograde journey, which is actually quite big and profound, as she is going to make multiple connections to outer planets. And there is a lot happening during the Venus in Leo time period, which actually begins June 5th and will end October 10th. She spends 4 months in an astrological sign when she moves through her retrograde. And this particular retrograde is doing some very deep reprogramming, very much shifting something that you want, that you desire, that you're attracted to. Venus in Leo is working with our heart's desires. So let's break this down for a minute. Venus is about how we are showing up in the world, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves. It's based on our own innate self-worth and personal value, and then how we exude that in the world, how we create from that place. Venus then creates something that she loves and enjoys that is deeply connected to her own self-worth frequency. So this is about looking at what you create, experience, and also how you receive in regards to that self-worth frequency. Venus is connected with our creativity, our personal confidence, how we feel worthy of interacting and showing up in connections. She is about all relationships in our lives. So typically we think of Venus being connected to partnerships and love relationships. And yes, that's very true, especially with Venus and Leo. But she's also about friendships, connections with your siblings and with other people in your world, in your life. She's about how you get along with others, how you get along with your coworkers and acquaintances. Venus also relates to financial matters and money. So again, this energy thread goes back to your own ability to value your energy, value your skill set, and understand what you bring to the table. So Venus relates to the money we make, the money we spend, what is important to us, what we find value in, as well as how we also receive in return. And that can be what you feel worthy of receiving as a salary, as a paycheck, as the money you take in. But energetically, Venus is how you receive compliments, how you receive support and help from others, how you allow others to support you in your needs. And this varies depending on the astrological sign that Venus is in. So these are just some of the overarching themes that relate to Venus expression and energies. So we take those themes and we put them in the energy of Leo. Leo is about self-expression, the courage to shine your light, to be who you are in the world, to stand strong and tall in who you are, what you want, what you are actively creating in the world, as well as what you are actively co-creating with the universe. The Leo energies relate to love, romance, attraction, what you are attracted to at a primal level of your being, where it just can feel like there's this energy that pulls you in. It's basically what you're attracted to in other people, what you find desirable or magnetic. Venus in Leo also connects us to our innate soul gifts, our own creativity, and how we feel confident to accept and work with our creative expression, how we want to be seen or recognized for what we create or what we do. Leo is the performer and the entertainer, and it's comfortable being seen. It's comfortable being in the limelight and getting attention. And so this Venus in Leo is how we develop the confidence to be recognized for who we are, to feel good about that, to receive the love and affection and recognition, but not from necessarily an egoic place. Now, Leo is a fire sign, and there can be the energy here of being overly connected to ego energies, meaning things that connect to that sense of self that the ego is here to develop, maintain, and grow through. There are healthy and unhealthy ego energies. There are false ego energies. Too much in one's ego can result in narcissism or being on the narcissistic spectrum, which is basically thinking that everything revolves around me and there is no care or concern for others. This energy, by the way, of course, I'm really generalizing it here, but I do want to note that any astrological sign can have narcissism attached to it. So please don't think that I'm saying something about Leo energies. I can apply to all astrological signs. But essentially, this Venus in Leo is looking at how you're developing a healthy sense of self without too much of that ego energy, too much pride, overconfidence, believing that everything's about you or only about you. Those can be some of the lower expressions of any planet in Leo. Venus in Leo is here to support you in being able to be yourself, to own who you are, to feel strong, to feel solid in that, and to also allow that energy to fortify your solar plexus as it connects to the heart. And this is a more evolved Leo energy where, yes, it can begin at perhaps that ego desire level where there's some things that just feel good. You want the recognition, you want the applause, you want others to see you. But the healthy Leo connects to the heart, connects to understanding what other people need or what other people desire. There's an opening to exchange energies. As much as you perhaps desire something from others, you're aware that healthy relationships are an ongoing dance, an ongoing balance of giving and receiving. And so it's about staying open, also leading from the heart. Understanding that the power to be yourself can come from a very beautiful, healthy place of self-love, self-acceptance, where I'm doing this because I love this about myself. I love my creative gifts. I want them to be enjoyed by others, or I want others to also feel inspired to be who they are in the world. I also want them to shine their light, to be in a place of confidence, and to really elevate their self-love frequency too. So this would be one of the higher octaves of Venus and Leo, where you also know it's not just about you, or it's not just about doing your own thing or doing it in a way that makes you ultra competitive. Venus and Leo can be competitive. It is very determined and persistent and will stick with something until it is exactly the way you want it. There is the energy of I'm not giving up, I'm not letting go, I'm staying in this, I'm going to see this through. But it's about looking at, well, what is that energy being sourced from? Is it being sourced from the higher octave of your heart, your self-love, your desire to be yourself and to grow in your courage and your confidence? Or is it stemming from a lower octave place that can be competitive, that can be about, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be the only one? It's very ego-driven in an unhealthy manner. So these are just some very broad understandings of this energy, but I wanted to paint this picture because these are the themes that are going to be coming up and playing out as Venus moves through Leo over the course of 4 months. And she's going to have some big interactions here in her aspects to the other planets. So as always, take what resonates for you. These could be themes for you showing up in your love life, in your partnerships, or in your romantic connections. These can be themes coming up for you through money and finances, how you make money, how you earn money. Keep in mind that Leo is a personal energy, meaning it's about yourself. It's about how you are dealing with this energy within you, which is different than when Venus was last retrograde in Capricorn. When she was last retrograde in Capricorn, she was more about the bigger picture of her life, being responsible, honoring her commitments. That was an intense retrograde because she had multiple connections to Pluto through exact conjunction. She had to deeply shift, evolve, and change something, permanent endings, deaths, whether those were ego deaths or whatever it might be. But that was a very different energy than what we're dealing with now. We're looking at the Venus in Leo energy in terms of how it is reprogramming you, how it is working with you at a more personal level of your being, and perhaps showing you some parts of yourself that you've outgrown, that are unconscious, maybe some patterns that you don't want to continue to perpetuate. Perhaps there's some parts of your life that you no longer desire, you no longer want that. There's also the energy here of looking at your self-worth and your personal value in a whole new way. And that could be part of this reprogramming that then shows up through relationships, friendships, partnerships, also through your finances, what you think is worthy of your money, where you want to place your money, where you want to invest, and perhaps even taking some steps back to look at your own choices. So Venus in Leo, let me go through the major aspects here that she is going to experience. So she enters Leo on June 5th and immediately has an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. Now, this is the first time in our lifetime that we've had this opposition, because it's the first time in our lifetime that Pluto is in Aquarius. And Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. Opposing Venus in Leo is an ego death. Something that you can't control, something out of your hands, something that isn't feeling like it's working in your favor. That is Venus's first entry into Leo, and it can be jolting, shocking, unhappy. There can be a letdown, things not coming through, not showing up. When there's an opposition to that Pluto, something is over. Permanent ending, again, an ego death. And the ego is important to note here with Venus and Leo, where it could feel personal, but it's not. It's just meant to be something that's removed so that you can see your choices and options in a new light or in a new way. Now, Venus is going to move on, and she's going to square the nodes of fate with the North Node in Taurus, the South Node in Scorpio, June 8th and 9th. And this is occurring at 3 degrees. So 3 degrees of Leo, 3 degrees of Taurus, 3 degrees of Scorpio. The square to the nodes of fate are something you can't have. Now, when Venus is squaring something, it's a desire, like, oh, I really want that, but nope, it's not going to be for me. So there's something here that you are moving away from, that even if you're feeling it in your heart or in an area of your energy that is personal, the square to the nodes of fate are showing us endings and closures, things that are moving out and moving away that you've already been through. You've already had those lessons. You've already been through that experience. And now time is changing. Things are moving forward. And so this could be an opportunity to assess your own growth. Look at how it's a good time to open up to doing things differently, where maybe even these nodes of fate are showing you that it wasn't truly connected to your future self. It was connected to where you've been, a cycle, a pattern, something you've already lived through and experienced. And this is something too where it can even be a no. It can be a soft no. It can be a no thank you. There's also the energy here. I feel it as you're meant to acknowledge what you've grown through, because later on in October, Venus is going to make positive connections with the nodes of fate when they have moved into Aries and Libra. So there's something here. It's like the turning of a page, the turning of a corner, and it's just not meant to be something that you take forward or that travels with you because it isn't a part of where you're going next. Then we're going to have Venus in Leo square Jupiter in Taurus 3 times. And this is the trend here, is that this Venus in Leo squares Jupiter in Taurus 3 times. Trines Chiron in Aries 3 times. Squares Uranus in Taurus 3 times. And makes an inconjunct to Neptune in Pisces 3 times. So this Venus is moving through a significant journey that begins in June. And that's even why I'm doing this podcast topic for you rather early, because her actual retrograde doesn't begin until July 22nd. She will station retrograde July 22nd at 28 degrees of Leo, and then retrograde back to 12 degrees of Leo. So between 12 and 28 degrees of Leo, this Venus retrograde is reprogramming you, asking you to check in with what you really want and what you really desire, because it's changing, it's evolving. There's things that are meant to fall away and move out. And almost like this Venus in Leo, she doesn't want to let go. Now, Leo being a fixed sign, it attaches and it doesn't want to detach until you make the choice, until you're ready to. But during this 4-month journey in Leo, there's things that Venus is going to have to let go of. It's going to just perhaps be ripped out or complete, or you could have some very clear understandings that I'm done with this part of my journey. This isn't good for my heart. This isn't good for my self-esteem. I don't want this in my world. I don't want to connect with this frequency or this energy anymore. It doesn't even feel good to who I truly am, because the other part of Venus in Leo, she's rising in her personal power. She's rising in her sense of, this is what I deserve that I'm going to create. Now, the word deserve is interesting because it can sound like entitlement. It can sound passive. It can sound like, oh, I just expect this to show up on my front door because I deserve it. And that can be something that happens with Venus and Leo. There can be that unconscious entitlement energy there. But the higher expression is, I'm going to create this with my energy. I'm going to raise the bar, raise my standards. I'm going to elevate this because of what I've been through, what I've learned, how I've come to know my own heart, how I understand what my heart needs, what my heart wants, and I'm going to hold myself to that standard. And therefore, I'm also going to put energy into creating at this next level because I deserve it from a place of being healed, from a place of growth, from a place of, I'm going to work for this. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to put my trust in this level of my own self-worth. And that's where I'm going to create from next. So this is a very deep reprogramming around the heart space and the solar plexus. I feel that it also relates to understanding that we are always in a state of growth and new opportunities. And if we're open to that, if we have the willingness to go into that, that's where the universe brings in others and other opportunities that match at that frequency level. So you could have some eye-opening experiences here where you're understanding where you've held yourself back, you've stayed against the wallpaper, like you didn't want to be seen, you didn't want to be recognized, you didn't want to be acknowledged, you didn't want others to see you. And you could have a new rising energy about what it means to actually see yourself. It starts with fully acknowledging yourself, recognizing your own gifts, recognizing your own needs. And I think that's a big part of this heart reprogramming, is that you recognize this is what I really need to feel good in my life, to feel good about who I am. These are the types of friendships, people, partnerships, interactions that I want in my life because it feels good to me. It's respectful, it's mature, and it's genuine. And that's something else that is going to come up with Venus and Leo, because Venus and Leo can wear a mask. It is the mask of the performer or the entertainer, the mask that gets attention. It can also be the mask you were taught to wear, especially when you were younger or from other experiences in your life, the mask you were taught to wear in order to be accepted, in order to be valued, in order to be liked. Like, how many times did you go through certain things or go along with whatever in order to be accepted, in order to be liked? And how does that really feel? Especially after taking off the mask and then realizing you weren't your authentic self, you weren't genuine. So this is where we're going to see masks tore off of. If they've been putting on a show, putting on an act, and it's not real, it's going to be removed, and it's going to be seen in a way that could even be shocking and disheartening. Because part of wearing the mask is the audience or the others can feel like they've been fooled. Like, oh, this isn't even real. This is just some false show based on a false self. So this is also a good time to ask yourself, are you showing up in a genuine, authentic manner? Are you taking the risk to be yourself? And the Leo energy is a risk taker. It is connected to taking the risk on shining our light, on being creative, on standing up for yourself, standing on your own 2 feet. And so there could be something here where you are reassessing your ability to be truly authentic and to know that that's good enough. That's all you've got to do. You don't have to put on a show. And in fact, in this day and age, with more people being much more intuitive and tuned in and reading energy, it doesn't work anyways. You notice when someone isn't being genuine or when it is a false self. So that's going to be part of this Venus and Leo experience, is that masks are going to fall off. And truthfully, that can be one of the best things that happen to people, where they then step into their authenticity, which is also connected to their true personal power. So as Venus journeys through this energy, she's also going to have, as I mentioned, the square to Jupiter in Taurus 3 times. And that is going to be the energy of wanting to do a lot. There's a lack of moderation when Venus squares Jupiter in Taurus. And it's interesting because she's going to square Jupiter in Taurus 3 times and Uranus in Taurus 3 times. Both those planets in Taurus are ruled by Venus. So she's getting some new understanding of what she really wants, what she really values, what she really needs. And this is where you could have some very clear breakthroughs of, I'm not doing that anymore, or I'm done with that. This is what I want now. So as she squares Jupiter in Taurus, there is the energy of almost overcompensating. Like, let me do more. Let me go into something in a very big way. There can be false expansion. There can be a desire here to even spend a lot of money. The financial energy can be quite strong when Venus in Leo squares Jupiter in Taurus. That happens June 11th to 14th, August 21st to 24th, September 16th to 19th. So there's going to be some reassessment of your money and your finances, and it can be harder to save because these are the energies of spending and acquiring and wanting. So keep that in mind. Then we're going to see Venus make the interesting inconjunct to Saturn in Pisces, and that happens June 13th to June 15th. The inconjunct to Saturn in Pisces is dealing with the consequences, having to take responsibility in order to complete something, to finish it up, to be done with it. But an inconjunct is uncomfortable, especially when you think of the energies of Leo and Pisces. They're very different. They're very different in terms of their ability to get things done, how they move through the world, how they approach life. And so there could be a sense of you've got to get some things taken care of. And it could be something that you didn't want to do. And that's what this energy is. When Venus in Leo is in conjunct Saturn in Pisces, you've got to do something you didn't want to do. And it could be financial, it could be relational, it could be creativity, it could be any area that Venus rules, but Saturn in Pisces is pointing your finger at what you need to take care of. And again, that's June 13th to 15th, and it only happens once. This in conjunct with Saturn only happens once, so it's a very good time to just do the thing. Take care of it, get it off your desk, finish it up, be responsible, tap into your own Saturn energy, and take care of what's in front of you. Then as we move into July, Venus in Leo begins her squares to Uranus in Taurus. So the first square is July 1st through 3rd, the second, August 9th through 12th, and the third square, September 28th to September 30th. And when Venus squares Uranus and Taurus, she is getting some kind of shocking change, upgrade, elevation, something that catches her off guard that she has to take care of. She has to understand what's being asked of her, what's being required of her. And there's a rebellious energy here, a sense of, I don't want to do it your way. I want to do it my way. This is also the energy of looking at what needs to change within you around your own Venus energies. Where are you being asked to see it in a different way, to consider a different perspective? And this can be uncomfortable energies. This can also be shocking news, things happening unexpectedly. The unpredictable and disruptive energy are always big with Uranus in Taurus. These can be financial changes. These can be things coming up for you like that unexpected bill or something breaking down, or you have to replace something and you're like, wow, I didn't realize I had to buy a new one of these already, or it's out of warranty. This can be your possessions and things that you're realizing either I need to sell this or buy a new one. Again, it feels like there's these unexpected breakdowns and even some things that basically the universe wants you to upgrade. And if your refrigerator is from 1988 and it breaks down, the universe is saying, hey, good news. We actually have some newer refrigerators available now. So we'd like to upgrade you. So that's one way to look at this Venus in Leo squaring Uranus and Taurus 3 times, is that things could feel very unstable. The financial part of this can be a lot. There can be intensity around finances and what you want to change or what you need to change in order to cut back or to live within your means or to just be more realistic. And I feel like this is where you could just be getting rid of things. There could be things you're like, I just don't want to deal with that anymore, or I don't want that bill. I don't want that in front of me. I want more freedom. And that's one thing that Uranus brings in, is how can this free you from something that has become too heavy or burdensome? So that would be another way that this Venus energy shows up. Now, I am running through all of these major energy themes in this podcast, but I will be talking about them more specifically through the Wednesday weekly shows. So yes, I know this is a lot and that you're probably like, oh my God, Molly, how am I supposed to keep up with all this? This is the overview. This is just the overview, and then we're going to keep talking about it over the months that Venus moves through Leo and has these interactions with the planets. So in addition to having the ongoing squares to Uranus and Taurus, Venus in Leo also has ongoing inconjuncts to Neptune and Pisces 3 times, 3 inconjuncts. Now, an inconjunct is also known as a quincunx and is the energy of tension, because they're not on the same page. They have very different ways of moving through life and seeing things, similar to what I just briefly described for you when Venus in Leo makes an inconjunct to Saturn in Pisces. She has 3 ongoing inconjuncts to Neptune and Pisces, which is removing, taking away, letting go. And this can feel like an ego loss. Again, that Venus in Leo, she is very aware of herself, her own energy, what she wants, what she needs, what she desires. Her sense of self can be very formidable and strong in Leo. But this inconjunct to Neptune and Pisces 3 times is something leaves outside of your control. Something is removed. It can be confusing. It could be something like, I just have to keep trusting this. I don't know where this is going. I don't know what's going to show up next. That's part of the confusion, especially with Neptune and Pisces. This is where, going back to the financial angle, you could understand it's time to sell some things or reduce or remove. Neptune and Pisces always wants us to be aware of the higher realms, to be aware of the energetics, to get out of our mind, our sense of self, our body, to remember that we're these beautiful energetic beings. And in order to continue on this journey, we have to be comfortable staying adaptable and flexible. We have to ride the flows of change, even when we don't know where they're going. So this could even be at a more practical level, certain relationships, friendships, connections ending, and you don't know why. Like a friendship ending, and you're like, I don't know why that ended. I don't know why we're not friends anymore. It just kind of drifted away. It just kind of ended. We never had a conversation about it. I don't have information. It's just leaving. And this is the energy of leaving. It can also feel like being left. It can feel like, oh, they just left the relationship. They just left the friendship. It can feel like ghosting, that you don't have information. You don't know why. You just never heard from this person again. And there could be something to self-assess here, to really self-assess your own choices, your own actions, your own behaviors. There's also the opportunity here to look at, well, what was it really based on? Was it really real? Or was it just idealized? Was it all in my head? Was it just something that I enjoyed, but I never made it real? It was never concrete in the physical world. So those would be some things to be aware of, especially as Venus will be interacting with this Neptune and Pisces, and things will be taken away outside of our comfort zone. And so we will keep talking about that as well. Now, everything I've just walked you through here, these are all energies that are in play before Venus stations retrograde on July 22nd at 28 degrees of Leo. And something I want to highlight here is that this degree point, so it's 28 degrees of Leo, this is where we had in August 2017 the total solar eclipse in Leo. It was actually at 27 degrees of Leo. But I feel like this is in play here. And yes, August 2017, so 6 years ago. But look at how you have grown. Look at what you're understanding about your needs, because it's pinpointing this Leo part of your chart again, bringing your attention to checking in with who you are, how you want to create things in your life that you love. What gives you a spark? What lights you up? What gives you joy and you're inspired and you're ready to go and it just feels so colorful? This is the energy too of checking in with what has changed for you since that August 2017 total solar eclipse at this same part of your chart. How has your heart grown? How have your needs been reprogrammed? How have you come to understand more of what is essential for you? So these are big questions, but I also feel like this Venus retrograde is bringing our attention to what we really want in our lives that feels good, that resonates, that's authentic, that's true, and that's also beautifully connected to our heart and our ability to give and receive energies in a loving way. So Venus retrograde beginning on July 22nd, where she will then retrograde back to 12 degrees of Leo until September 4th. That's where she stations direct. And after she moves forward, she is going to still be in Leo for another month. And she's going to move forward and she's going to connect with the North Node in Aries the beginning of October. Beginning of October, okay? October 1st through the 5th-ish. And those are powerful, supportive energies. That's a trine. So Venus in Leo trines that North Node in Aries, sextiles the South Node in Libra. She knows what she wants. She's ready. She's saying yes to herself. She's saying yes to this is what is true for me now. This is what my heart desires. This is what I have elevated in myself, and I truly want this. And then something opens, a doorway, a pathway. There's a connection here that flows. It just has ease to it. I feel like it's based on the level of work and responsibility, though, that you have taken on and experienced during the Venus in Leo timeline. So this means that even if you feel like a lot is being removed or taken away, frustration, confusion, perhaps even feeling like, what do I want? What do I want? Maybe you don't know. Maybe there's an opening in your heart. Maybe there's a sense of you're tapping into a wound or a deeper part of yourself that you weren't aware of. This is a Venus journey of getting to know yourself even more, to love who you are, and to be very honest with yourself about what is not working for you. What is not true for you? What is not a part of your world or you don't want in your world? And also to tap into some of the deeper desires that maybe you didn't think you would experience or create or have in this lifetime, but they are available to you. And I feel like there's going to be something that brightens up during this Venus and Leo journey. And I'm seeing it as the heart chakra getting some beautiful, invigorating energies. It looks like a really powerful marigold. It looks like a very bright energy too, like a very bright yellow, but it's fresh. It's like fresh light codes, fresh downloads, fresh insights, a revival of the heart space, being rejuvenated and that feeling strong. But it's earned. There's something about this Venus and Leo journey where things have to be reworked and we have to hold ourselves perhaps to some new standards, some new practices, some new areas of growth that maybe you've resisted. And the universe is saying, now's the time. Here it is. We're doing this. And it can also feel so uncomfortable. Now, the other transit that's happening 3 times, and I meant to mention it earlier, is that Venus in Leo is going to trine Chiron in Aries 3 times as well. And that's going to feel supportive. That's going to be energizing. It also is going to highlight where the heart needs more love, where you can just say, you know, I need more love. I need more of something that feels good for me. I need more that lights me up. And that can be self-generated. This is where you could also have a deeper understanding of what your heart has been healing, what your self-worth has been healing, what your self-value has been healing. I'm getting the image of a very beautiful artwork, creations. Like I'm seeing it at a table at like a farmer's market, and it's basically bringing your wares to be seen, allowing others to see your talents, your creations, what you enjoy, what gives you life, and wanting to put that out into the world. That could be something for some people that's being healed during this Venus and Leo retrograde, is that you're understanding, no, I deserve to really own my gift. I feel strong in what I've created. I love what I've made. I want to put it out there. I want to share it. I want to talk to people about it. And it could feel too like it's something you had to summon up. You had to really summon forward the ability to do that or to share this part of yourself. So I know that's rather specific, but it could be something that you apply to other areas of your life. Like I feel like it could even be just opening up your heart more and understanding that it's okay to share that. It's okay to be seen for what you've been through, what you've healed, how you've grown, and to feel strong about that. That's also part of this renewal energy. Renewal in the heart space, renewal in your creativity, renewal in relationships and in financial matters. All of that is strong. Also during Venus retrograde, it's not a good time to make financial decisions because you could regret them, or you could, let's say, bargain for a price and then realized, oh, I could have gotten a much better deal over here, or I could have waited a few months and it would have gone on sale. So Venus retrograde is where we practice the RE words: reprioritize, reevaluate, reconsider. It's also time to slow down, not rush things. Also to review where these areas of your life have been showing up, how they've been showing up, and what you're seeing now that maybe you didn't see previously. That's also how the retrogrades work. Now, Venus retrograde, yes, it can bring back your ex. It can bring back people from your past, especially if there's anything incomplete, if there's things you still need to discuss or work through, if you need to revisit something that pertains to financial matters or things that were not fully taken care of. So every retrograde is an opportunity to catch up on what has been unfinished and to make sure that you are showing up, you're responsible, you're taking care of what you need to take care of. And then you're also not forcing things, you're not rushing it forward, you're allowing it to be. And there can also be opportunities to powerfully observe, to wait, to look at things in a new way, to not rush forward, and to trust the universal timing that's involved here. So Venus retrograde is also a time to reassess relationships, partnerships, friendships, and to look at how is this working for me? If there's things you'd like to improve in your relationship, this is great for it. Sitting down, having a conversation and discussing some things that you would like to change in your relationship, or something that you want to work through with a friend, whatever it might be. This would be a time to approach certain things from the perspective of, what was my role in this? How did I show up? What do I need to do better? So there's always taking responsibility involved with any of our relationships and connections. And during a Venus retrograde, you might find that you're ready to have certain discussions that support reevaluating, where is this going? How is this working for you? Getting into some of the deeper questions, getting into, is there anything here that we're both wanting to work on? Or what are our goals as a couple? Or how are we growing together at this time? Or what is working for you? What's not working for you? All of that can also be something that shows up during a Venus retrograde. And in terms of the bigger timeline, it's October, where the energy tends to feel clearer, stronger, and better. And so if there's something that you're feeling you can push off or wait on that relates to these Venus and Leo themes, that would be recommended. That isn't always practical for everyone. That isn't something that we can all do. But when I see the energetics involved here, there are a lot of shifts and changes that are occurring throughout this Venus in Leo journey. So it means what we want is going to be changing. And it also means that we're going to be busting out of comfort zones, because this is a fixed sign and the universe is pushing for change, requiring us to do things differently or to see it in a new way. And so when you think about the Venus themes that I've discussed here, just know that there's things that are going to be complete, over, ending, and there's upgrades and there's new things coming in, especially if you are really working with your own self-value, your own self-worth, and you're requiring yourself to grow. You're requiring yourself to step out of a comfort zone and to evolve in a way that demonstrates more of your own self-love and self-acceptance. So there's a lot here. And as I mentioned, I will keep discussing it in the Wednesday shows. So this is just an overview of how the Venus and Leo journey is going to look, and also a heads up on how to plan in a practical sense. So again, relationship themes can be bigger. Money stuff can be bigger. There can also be a sense here that it's better to wait or to trust a process and to not think that you have to muscle through it, because with these aspects that I'm looking at, it's going to move in a different way that could feel like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I chose. This isn't what I planned for. And that's one way that Venus and Leo just needs to stay open to the cosmic energies, stay open to the evolutionary process, to not be locked in to only her way of doing it, because that's what's going to be challenged the most. So I hope this has given you a good heads up on these energies, on what to expect, at least in a general sense, and how to prepare for the Venus retrograde energies. I also recommend understanding your own natal Venus even more, because that is what is going to also pop up for you, is that when Venus is retrograde in any sign, she is still energetically talking to your natal Venus in any sign. So there's a common frequency thread here. And so if your natal Venus is in Virgo, it's in Aquarius, it's in Pisces, it's in Sagittarius, it doesn't matter. Venus retrograde is still going to ask you to check in on your own Venus energies, how you're honoring them, how you're loving them, and how you're accepting them. And I actually talk about this more extensively in my book, Awakening Astrology, which is about the 5 personal planets. It's about the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, how those energies are directly related to your own energetic formula, how you know yourself and what there is to know about yourself through those layers. So please check out that chapter that discusses your Venus energies and what you want, what you desire, as well as understanding how to be in a healthy place with your own Venus. So I'll put a link below the podcast. If you don't have a copy of the book, it is available as an ebook, as a paperback, and as an audiobook. So please check that out, and I hope it helps you understand more about not only your own Venus energies, but even more about your astrology chart. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode, and you can find all of my current offerings, programs, courses, and everything at mollymccord.online, where you'll also find business development resources for those of you who are stepping in to more of your soul gifts and your desire to do things with those gifts in this lifetime. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to continuing this discussion with you as we move through the Venus and Leo energies. Wishing you a beautiful day ahead, and I'll see you back here soon.